Hi everyone, I'm Melissa from Melissa Forziat Events and Marketing, and I wanted to share with you today my latest tip of the week about why the rule of seven is important for your sales success. For those of you who are interested to read this tip in greater depth, you're welcome to click on the link that's in the comment section, and that'll bring you straight to the blog. But I wanted to share with you not only the blog itself, but some information about why I chose to talk about this topic this week. I find that whenever I'm talking with a group of small business owners, there's usually at least one or two people in the room who have somewhere heard along the way that they should be closing a high percentage of their leads in the very first conversation we have with them. And that's actually a dangerous piece of advice to be given in your business, I feel. And I wanted to tell you a little bit more about why. So, this tip about the rule of seven is going to help you understand why it's so important to build trust and to warm your leads before you try to close a sale so that you can have more success long term. So, sit back and enjoy this marketing tip, and I hope that it helps you in your business. Why the rule of seven is important for your sales success. When you're responsible for marketing a business and there's a lot riding on each sale, there can be pressure to work a sales pitch into each conversation as soon as possible. This is a mistake that will likely hurt your business more than help it. In sales, patience is your greatest ally. One of the most fundamental sales principles is known as the rule of seven. And today we'll address why the rule of seven is important for your sales success. Have you ever had the experience of someone trying to sell you something that you weren't interested in the very first time they met you? It's an awkward conversation. It's a weird feeling to have. You don't really know them. They don't really know you. And unless you desperately needed that thing they're selling you in that moment, you have no reason to listen to their pitch. The question is, do you want your leads to feel that way after you're done talking with them? The rule of seven tells us that it takes at least 7 touches with a lead before that lead is ready to buy something from us. This rule encourages patience in taking time to build trust and impressions before we try to close a sale. It's a rule that's designed to yield more success in generating revenue and customers in the long term. Now, imagine you walked into a crowded room of people that you don't know, and you go up to each person one by one and try to close a sale. Chances are that a small percentage of the people, and let's say that's about 2%, they might have a deep need for what you're offering right in that moment, and they take you up on your pitch. Those people are the low-hanging fruit. Now, it might feel good to get the sales from the low-hanging fruit, but it actually distracts you from what's happening in the rest of the room. Let's say that the remaining people in the room are split between two camps, people who just got a negative impression of you and people who might one day have an interest. The people who got a negative impression, that's going to be a high percentage. There are various different personality types when it comes to the buying process, and the leads can fall into a couple different categories here, but most require specific types of information or a stronger relationship to the seller in order to want to make a purchase. So if you didn't take that time, you're actually giving them a bad experience. Now, the people who might one day have an interest, they're ready to be nurtured. And it would now be up to you to have a process for collecting their contact details and continuing to nurture them until they are ready to buy. As a general principle, the rule of seven tells us that the more positive impressions we have with our audience, the higher the percentage of people who would close or be interested to buy from us if we made an offer. It also tells us that as we have more touch points with our leads, we are lowering the percentage of people who will walk away from us. Now we're starting to give the right information to these people who needed to build a relationship or get more facts before they were rushed into a decision. Remember that the rule of seven, it's a general sales principle that's meant to teach us patience. So you may find that data shows you a different number of touches is needed for your specific business. For example, if your offerings have a high price point, or maybe they attract an audience that takes more time to consider, you may need more impressions. Some industries naturally lend to more window shopping or comparison shopping, and you can be ready for that if you have a plan for these touch points. As a marketer, you want to build the concepts of nurturing and patience into your process. Get your message out there, inform your audience, get to know them. Give them a reason to trust your brand. Help them see the various angles of how your product, program, or service will benefit them. Then close the sale. There's a certain way to pace these sales conversations, and if you want to learn more about that, I have more information in my blog in another link to another blog. You know you need sales, but don't put pressure on your audience right away, because that pressure will make a lot more of them walk away. So in the long run, being impatient is going to hurt your bottom line. So when you're out there networking on social media or anywhere else you're marketing, think about how to apply this rule of 7. Start planning out those touch points and how you'll work them into your process. This is going to be critical for your sales success. So thank you for listening. For those of you who want to read this in a little more detail or get access to that other blog that I mentioned, you're welcome to click through to the link in the comments and you can read this in as much depth as you need to. Thank you for joining me today and happy marketing.